Hey folks, it's Joe Jurec over at Culture Shock. Going to do a quick recording of the first of two presentations that I'll be doing at TCIA's Expo in St. Louis. The timing may be a little different. I anticipate that with questions, with interaction from the audience, that the live presentation will go a little bit longer. So you'll see that I'll skip by some of those pieces or address them directly to you throughout the presentation, but this will give you a pretty darn good idea of what the leveraging AI and social media to grow your tree care business presentation is going to look like. So kicking things off, I'd like to first and foremost say thank you for having me here today. I had the opportunity to meet some of you folks at last year's Winter Management Conference. Since then, I haven't been able to get enough of the tree care business. I've participated in saluting branches here in Cleveland. I've stayed in contact with a few of the business owners who I had the opportunity to meet at WMC, and I've really been looking forward to having this chance to meet many more of you, reconnect with some of those who I already met, and to share some actionable tips, some simplified ways that you can grow your business by charging forward, by leveraging social media and AI to do more with less. So a little bit about who I am here, folks. I'm part of a company called Culture Shock in Cleveland, Ohio. I'll tell you more about that and about the reason for Buffalo all over the place in just a moment. But going back to my experience in my youth, I've always had more of a learner mindset than I've pursued formal education. I will openly admit that I didn't go to college. And at one point, I felt like this was kind of a point of shame or something I was embarrassed about that I'd hide. And now it's become more of a badge of honor because not only have things shifted quite a bit, but there's such value and emphasis of having a growth mindset, a learner mindset. And I think my experience is relatable with many who probably feel that guilt, that shame, that concern about not being able to grow to their full potential because they didn't seek out that formal education. And what I do now is so focused on leadership development and business growth and continuous learning that it really gives me an opportunity to share some of my own experiences and examples about being a perpetual learner, not fearing change and new technology or processes and systems and just the way of the working world, and instead charging forward with that. So in my early career, I worked for Sony Electronics, and I'd started as a sales associate. I ran one of the highest volume stores, one of the largest and most high profile districts in Southern California, bounced around the country quite a bit, and ultimately worked in Sony's home office in San Diego, where my focus was on business transformation, change management, getting involved with all the different business units to say, this is what's realistic in the field. This is how you can execute things in a way that everyone across the country is going to understand. So taking sometimes complex strategy or what have you and simplifying it down to what's going to make the most sense. How do we do something with this? And how do we get consistency across the board? Similarly, I worked in change and training and technology at Sears. I led the appliance business unit in Chicago. I spent some time out in San Francisco standing up a new department around training. And it allowed me to kind of continue some of what I loved most about working at Sony, and that was managing through change, adult learning, and really finding peak workforce effectiveness. There's some trials and tribulations that came with both of those, but I'm grateful for them. Having exposure in a large corporate organization gave me a good understanding of structure, of process, of things that would later serve me when I moved into 3 different startups. All of these were in the software as a service space. But with one, I was employee number 1, another employee number 4, and we scaled each of them to over 100 people. Had to get really scrappy and figure out what it's like to grow something with limited resources, how to figure things out when you're the only person doing it. And again, lots of learnings from that. What it taught me most, though, is how to get really creative about growth with minimal support, human resources or team members, and funds. And through that, combined with my previous experience, I'd started to build kind of this system of here's how you can get clarity on your business and find out what's really most important to you. Here's how you can develop your leaders in a way that gets them rowing together. And here's how we can employ this arsenal of different tools at different stages of our growth to have economical spend when it came to marketing, advertising, scaling, and do so in a really successful way. So that's what, in my own experience, I feel like has prepared me to speak with you today, to share some tips and tricks. Although it's not 100% what we do at Culture Shock per se, because I've now been a part of the team at Culture Shock for the past year and a half or so. And our mission is to discover, engage, and grow leaders. We're a team of EOS implementers. We're certified in something called the Colby system, which is an assessment around how people take action. And most of what we do is around coaching, team building, leadership development programs, and helping companies strengthen their culture to differentiate. The reason I felt I was suited to have this conversation to you, because you might ask why. We met this guy. He was talking about culture and talking about leadership the last time that he gave us a presentation. And today we're talking about different things. We're talking about AI. We're talking about technology. Well, I lead all growth efforts at Culture Shock. And similar to what I had done with other startups in the past, everything that we talk about today, I'm doing now to help grow and scale our own small business. We're a team of 7 humans in Northeast Ohio who have a lot of unique things that we bring to the team, but also unique things that are eating up our capacity. And when I joined this team, I was told we want somebody who's entrepreneurial enough to run with things, but risk averse enough that they're not going to go stand it up and do it on their own. And that's really where I was at in this point in my life. And it's given me the chance to now take what I've learned, master it a little bit, but continue learning, continue seeking out new tools, new technology and advancements that will help with digital marketing, that will help us and our clients grow their businesses in a really smart way when there's all sorts of different challenges in the new world of work in 2023. That said, the reason for the buffalo that you see all over the place and where it applies to our conversation that we're having today is what brings our team together is this belief around having an into the storm mentality. And folks, I get it. Some of you may be using social media platforms and digital marketing as tools to grow your business today. Some of you may have just dipped your toe in and set up business pages. Some of you may have never seen ChatGPT or some of the different AI tools that are out there. And many of the folks that I speak with on a regular basis, many of the clients that we're working with, the reason for it is because of fear of the unknown. And this into the storm mentality, we think it's at the center of healthy culture because it's a correlation with courageous leadership. That when a buffalo is faced with a storm, unlike cows and other creatures that run away, prolonging their time in pain, seemingly being chased by this storm, buffalo will turn towards it and charge through it. And that's what I'm hoping each and every one of you do today, or coming out of today, is that you take that buffalo mentality, that into the storm approach, to embracing change, to embracing some of this new technology that's out here in front of us, instead of running away from it, because it's not going away. And you can either deal with it head on and get out in front of it, or you can get left behind. And I'm going to share with you today just a few simple, practical ways that you can get started by leveraging some of these different tools. And I think some of the reason for fear is because you've never seen it. So we'll do a walkthrough of a few of these different systems as well. And of course, I'll be here for the rest of the expo. So if we want to continue this dialogue, we can. But let's jump right into it. I want to get a better understanding of the group here, and what you're up against, what you are already doing in terms of growing your business through digital marketing and social and AI, and where we stand. So if everybody can take a moment, just pull out your cell phones, open up the camera, and if you point it at this QR code on the screen here, you can tap the link. It'll take you to some live pollings, just so we can get a better feel for where everyone in the room stands, and I can tailor the rest of this presentation a bit based on some of your responses. If you are having an issue, you can't do it with your phone camera, you can go ahead and just type in this link down below, and that'll also take you there. So now that you're logged in, you're going to see it asks you just a couple questions over on the right-hand side. You can put these in, they're optional, but it's just so that way we can see the results on the screen. So we'll go ahead and join now. And I want to get an idea. If you have a person on your team primarily dedicated to marketing or recruiting. If so, check yes. If not, check no. If you're kind of doing it yourself, or maybe you have somebody who quasi does your recruiting, maybe some of the marketing, go ahead and hit kinda, but let's see where everybody's at here. All right, moving on to the next one. Which platforms do you have a business page on? We've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. I'd like everybody just to go ahead and select any of those that you do have a page for your business on already. We've got 3 more here. So which platforms have you actually advertised on? I figure we could do this by show of hands, but it'll have a better impact and give me more accurate understanding by throwing up these different bars up here. So which of these have you advertised on? Have you leveraged a freelance network like Fiverr or Upwork to do any of your marketing in the past? I'm not talking about an agency or your nephew, your coworker's cousin. Have you leveraged any of these global freelance networks? And last but not least, I want to get a feel for how many people here have actually logged into ChatGPT and tried it. Do you know what it looks like inside that system? Have you fed it some prompts, whether they had to do with your business or not, to see what kind of a response you got from AI? So based on that, that gives me a pretty good feel. I anticipated that most of you probably had business pages set up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, maybe even Twitter. But you could see how that kind of slid down a bit with, I'm guessing, Facebook being number 1, where everybody had a business page already set up. Not many folks in here have invested advertising funds into any of these channels. And that, again, kind of what I anticipated. We'll break down a quick spend analysis between traditional marketing and digital marketing. I think that'll give you all the reason in the world to consider doing some advertising with at least one of these platforms. Not many people had seen ChatGPT yet. That's great. I'm going to take you through a live demo, and we're going to assign it as your marketing director or head of marketing so it can do some of this stuff for you after I show you what some of these different tools are. Folks, as I already hit on, the why, right? The into the storm mentality for embracing new tech, it's not going away. And I'm sure through some of the head nods I see in the audience here, like, you recognize, you hear about all these things all the time. You know you should be doing more with them, but maybe you don't know exactly how to get started. And that's what I hope you come out of this with today, is at least that first step. Because from there, I think it'll open up doors. And when you see some of the results that you can achieve with minimal spend and minimal effort, you're going to want to lean heavier into this. But you've got to take that first step. And I'll arm you with what you need to do exactly that. As if the point wasn't already clear enough, let's just do a quick example. And I think everybody knows this one, right? We've got a place that we all knew and loved, and it was a part of nostalgia for us, a part of our weekly routine sometimes with Blockbuster. It wasn't because they didn't have a great experience or something that we really appreciated, that they went away, is because they failed to change. They failed to recognize the need for it, and we're complacent. And it's one that'll go on in infamy for lifetimes. Talking about this comparison between Netflix kind of coming in and showing we know what the people want, and we're going to embrace it and lean forward and innovate. And I think, while tree care, it's a much different business than either of these. There's lessons to be learned, and I want you to apply that thinking to everything that we talk about today, and for it to give you that motivation, that kick to do something different, so that way we don't fall complacent. A quick breakdown of what these different social media platforms are. You've heard of all of these based on what you shared. Many of you already have business pages on them, but let's really talk about which is going to make the most sense for you and for advertising your business. I will tell you, based on what you'd shared with me, and if we're talking about just dipping our toe in, they're probably already in the right order. While LinkedIn is exceptional for business to business, and it's how you can make some strategic partnerships with complementary service providers in your area, like snow plows and stuff like that. Facebook is one of the most cost-effective, easy to use tools for local marketing, advertising, and just promoting awareness in your general area. So based on the interactions I've had with members of this association over the past year, based on what you shared, I would lean pretty heavy into the recommendation being, let's focus here. Let's put some advertising spend into Facebook, and I'll show you exactly how to do it in a way that just makes a whole lot of sense. It's not to say that YouTube and Instagram and TikTok can't be totally viable tools to promote awareness of your business. Let's start with something simple and move on from there. All right. And each of your businesses is slightly different. I'm sure there's things that make each of you unique. So your next course of action may be Instagram, or it might be YouTube. But again, for the sake of today's conversation, what I'm going to share with you, let's focus on Facebook for this one. Just some quick stats around the stark contrast you'll find in traditional marketing spend versus digital. And it's not the first time you've heard this, but again, it's worth repeating, because it makes it so clear that while we used to put up banners, we used to do every door direct mail, we used to focus on radio and TV and things of that nature. If you're not yet putting your advertising budget into digital marketing, into social networks, you're overspending. And at different growth stages, it might make more sense for you. But if you're at a place where you've got 10 or 20 employees, even 50 employees, and you want to keep growing, but you don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing so, digital is the way to go. And we can look at paid search. It's a little bit more complicated, but for sake of today's conversation, we're going to look at social networking. You'll have a copy of this after, so that way the links to the different tools that I'm sharing, the stats, you can dig into those further if you want to look at this presentation later. But another reason to focus on Facebook right here is we just look at the advertising cost by platform. We see that LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, they're substantially higher than Twitter and Facebook. While Facebook ends up being a little bit more than Twitter for the sake of your business, for the nature of your business and where your clients live, and what I've already heard in success stories from multiple members of this group, it is the pretty clear-cut answer for the first wave of how you grow through digital. All this talk about Facebook boosting, this guy does a better job of explaining it in a more concise manner than I would be able to. So let's go ahead and watch this quick video to give you a better understanding of how Facebook boosting compares to advertising and how exactly you go about doing it.
So let's start with the basics. What does it mean to boost a post on Facebook? Well, boosting a post on Facebook helps you to expand your audience beyond the people who already like your page. This gives you the opportunity to get in front of people who are outside of your immediate following and potentially get the social snowball rolling. Boosting will give you the chance to use inbuilt targeting options to make sure that your post isn't just going out to anyone. Instead, it will reach people who are more likely to be interested in what you're offering. What is the difference between boosted posts and Facebook ads? Great question. Boosting a Facebook post is all about boosting something that currently exists organically in your timeline. It helps give your post a new lease of life, getting it in front of new people quickly and easily. When boosting a post, you'll simply be asked who you want to reach, your budget, and how long you want the ad to run for. However, when you set up a Facebook ad, you open yourself up to more options in terms of selecting ad placements, objectives, creative control, advanced targeting, and more. Which part to pick is very much down to the objective of your ad and, realistically, how much time you have. You should know that you can boost Instagram posts too, and luckily for you, we've covered that before. If you want to set up a Facebook or Instagram ad with a full range of audience targeting options, formats, and other advanced extras, then you'll want to set that up on Facebook Business Manager. However, if you have a smaller budget, want to get things set up quickly, or you just want to get a few extra eyes on your posts, then boosting posts are the one for you. Okay, so now into the nitty gritty. That sounds so posh doing that. How to boost a post on Facebook. Now, I'm assuming you've already got a Facebook page set up and have page role controls to advertise. If not, get that sorted first. But if you do, then follow these steps. Head on over to your Facebook page, find the post you want to boost. This might be a job post, an event, a video, a discount code, and then select Boost Post, which you'll find at the bottom of your post. Fill in the following details. Goal. What results would you like from this ad? Messages, views, calls, audience. Choose either a recommended audience or create a new one based on specific traits such as interests or demographics. Total budget. Select a recommended budget or provide your own, depending on how much you want to spend. Have a little play here because a little can get you a long way with the right targeting. Duration. How long do you want your ad to run for? Placement. Would you like your boosted post to show on other Meta products like Instagram and Messenger? Still feels weird saying Meta. Payment method. Review what's already set up or update your details as you need. Select Boost and let it work its magic. See? Easy peasy. Your boosted post will be subject to review to make sure it follows Meta's advertising policies. Sometimes they can take a little bit of time, up to 24 hours, so just make sure you keep that in mind. And that's that. Your boosted post will be boosted, appearing in the feeds of your tailored audience and helping you generate more views and more engagement. You can monitor the success of your boosted post within the post analytics, deciding whether to push more budget to it or pause it entirely. So let's start with the basics.
So at this point, I think you probably do see the value. You see, it's not as complicated as it may seem but there's so many different vehicles for you to choose with advertising. That's why we wanted to drill down and just focus on this one simple strategy. And based on limited time, limited resources, boosting versus Facebook advertising is a low cost of entry, easy way to get started with this. But you still probably feel like you don't have the capacity or aren't in a place to hire somebody for it. You're on the job. You're leading your team. You don't have the luxury of sitting in an office at your computer and doing all of this stuff on a regular basis, right? I get it. So let's talk a little bit more about how to reduce the amount of effort and time that you have to put into it. I asked in the beginning how many people have leveraged a freelance network such as Fiverr or Upwork. I want to take you real briefly into what this actually looks like, because Fiverr is a global freelance network. You can spend as little as $5. That's why it's called Fiverr, or between 50, 100. I mean, it does go up for a wider range of services and people with different certifications and things like that. But just to give you an idea of some of the different things that you're going to find on here, when we're talking about marketing, anything graphic design related, you're going to be able to get. And there's, if I want to have somebody set up an AI bot for me, or do search engine optimization for my website, come up with all of my social media posts, and do social media marketing, create a whiteboard animation video or something that, tells the story of your business, do a voiceover, the list goes on. The idea being, though, that there are a ton of different options on here. There's this gig economy that is growing. We normally, complain about the flip side of not being able to hire people. because so many of them have recognized this shift and they've leaned into it to become freelancers, to work on their own terms. And we can capitalize on that by finding people that are really specialized in some of these different things, and tapping into them. So again, the reason I'm showing this is because after you create an account and you go in here, I'm sure you're going to find ways that you can leverage this ecosystem, but often the first step is the hardest. So I drilled down into social media marketing. Let's look at social media management for Facebook. And I don't need to select that many filters if I don't want to. You can just go browse through here, but you'll see people from, you can sort by the country, you can sort by the level or their rating and things like that. Fiverr will normally throw a choice on there for one that has a good reputation or is doing quality work, but they'll give you a breakdown of what exactly they're offering. And you can then communicate with them through this app. For instance, 21 days of management plus 1 engaging post per day, optimize with hashtags, designs, content, scheduling, yada, yada, yada. I know that one's a little bit more expensive, but again, that was Fiverr's choice. You can find some that are less and a different range of services. Folks, we could go down the rabbit hole with Fiverr. I just wanted to at least show you what it looks like, and I hope it makes you curious enough to get back in there yourself and find some ways to tap into this network for minimal spend. Because even if you're doing most of the stuff yourself, and I'm going to show you how to do so with AI, there are probably opportunities to leverage freelance, to delegate externally that you're not yet thinking about because you don't know it's available to you. This is another thing that we can either get out in front of or we can get left behind. So check out Fiverr. There will be a link in the packet that you get after this. The next 3 that I want to quickly mention are AI and automation tools. And I'm guessing you've heard of at least ChatGPT. You've probably heard of Canva, which is just a super simple design tool. No longer are you spending hundreds of dollars or taking classes and hours to learn how to do some basic photo editing, because Canva does it all for you and makes it incredibly simple. I think that their pro plan is $8 a month or something like that. If you have somebody with even the slightest affinity towards creating different imagery and visuals for your social media pages, for your website, I encourage you to check out Canva. Jasper is going to actually do a lot of your blog writing, email writing. If you want to do some sort of a campaign you got an email list and you want to promote awareness of your business that way, or you have a newsletter, it'll help you there. But the most prevalent, the simplest, and the one that I really want to spend some time looking at today is ChatGPT. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually build your business in ChatGPT. We're going to inform AI everything it needs so it can serve as your social media manager. And for the sake of time, I've written down some of these prompts on the side, and I would encourage you to do the same. Get a Word document, write all the most important things about your business in it. So rather than typing them into ChatGPT each time, you can just copy and paste them over. If we have time, I'd love to have you help me build this different persona of a company so that way you can see how relevant it becomes. But for the sake of this, when we log in, it has you create an account. It's free. You just put in your email and some basic information. There's different versions of ChatGPT. There's now one called ChatGPT 4 that is smarter. It'll do more. You can access it a number of different ways. Some of you are probably well beyond this conversation regarding ChatGPT. But again, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible and give you a clear path to get started. So we're just going into the basic ChatGPT. It's openai.chatgpt.com. Again, you'll find the link in the resources at the end of this. So when I go in here, I want to first tell it a little bit about your company and what you hope to achieve. So give me 1 second here. All right, so check this out. I'm the owner of a tree care company in Northeast Ohio called the Example Tree Care Co. We've been in business for 12 years, experienced steady growth with a team of 15, largely based on word of mouth and traditional marketing tactics. I'm interested in scaling the business, would like to leverage social media to do so, primarily Facebook to start. I've limited capacity. I need you to serve as my head of marketing until I'm able to further grow the business and hire someone. You'll have a focus on using social media to acquire better talent and grow our business by promoting services to new customers through organic posts and occasional boosting. Our main objective is to get new customers in our coverage area and promote opportunities to join our team to acquire better talent. You can steal this. You can make it your own. I'll give you a couple more prompts as well. The idea being the more you feed this thing, the smarter, the more relevant it will be. So I like to give it a lot of information, kind of overload, or have it ask, or I'll have it ask me what questions it needs to the answers to know more about me in order to effectively do what I'm asking. You'll see. All right. And it just jumps right into something here. I can ignore that. It's probably going to start building out a social media strategy. And what I'm going to do, I can tell it, hey, don't respond until I tell you to. That's an effective way to work with this tool. But another is just to say, to kind of disregard what I put there and say something to the effect of, what 10 questions about my business do you need me to answer for you to most effectively position our services and value in creating posts? And here we go. These are also a great guide for you to think through when it comes to doing these things on your own. All right. What makes your tree care company unique? What services do you offer? And I went ahead and put together some of these so I can just copy and paste them over and show you. All right. If we specialize in tree and shrub pruning and removal, plant health care, consulting, and mulch. We have state-of-the-art equipment, including a Vermeer AX17 chipper. All right. You get the idea. I'm not going to read through all of this. But it kind of tells you we're feeding it with what makes us unique so it can effectively position our services when creating our social media posts. It's going to give me a response. And again, I'm going to redirect it. So in this case, I'm going to say, I'd like you to proceed without answers. Please create 1 month of daily Facebook posts. I plan on boosting 4 or 5 of these for about $25 each. So please highlight which I should do that with. Put all these in a table with the copy paste with the post copy and any added details in other columns. I think going through this live, you can see some of the logic, some of the way that I interact with it. Hopefully that serves you well. But the output is really what I was going for here, because I think that's going to give you that aha moment or that realization that with a few minutes of feeding this, the output that you get makes this realistic and achievable for you to be able to manage your own social media in a way that you're not today, with minimal time commitment and maximum ROI on any investments that you put into Facebook boosts. You saw in that quick video I shared a little bit ago, you set the radius, you set the demographic, all the different things that you're trying to target. And if you spend as little as even $50 to $75, you're hitting thousands of people, as opposed to what you would have gotten with every door direct mail and that kind of stuff. So it just mapped out 30 days of posts for me that I can schedule ahead of time in Facebook. If when I copy this in, instead of hitting post, I just hit schedule. And it's identified which of them are going to make the most sense to boost or to spend money on in order to get the best result and drive some new customers, drive some new talent our way as well. Because while I'm talking about growing your business, I understand fully that you need the right people to support the growth. And that's often one of the biggest hurdles. We need to look at, I have another session I'll be doing around culture and how strengthening workplace culture is another path or means to growing your business and treating HR and recruiting more like marketing instead of like legal. So that's why I went ahead and combined both of these here, because We want both. We want more talent. We want more customers. So that way we can really scale this thing in tremendous fashion. So once I have this, you can copy and paste it out of here. You get the idea. You can personalize these. You can tailor them a little bit so it's more your brand voice. It's more sounds like you. And I always recommend that. Don't just go copy and pasting whatever comes out of this, because it needs that human touch still. But often the heavy lifting is getting the pen to paper and coming up with kind of a method or a strategy of what I'm putting online on a regular basis. It gives you a description of a recommended image. So if you copy that into Google and just go to images, I'm sure you'll find something that you can accompany the post with. But we're talking how instead of having a full-time social media human on your team, even instead of leveraging somebody on Fiverr for the $160 or whatever it was, I can instead spend a couple hours a month, less than 4, to map out all of my social media for Facebook and to pick and choose selectively which ones I'm going to invest in to grow awareness and to drive some more talent and traffic our way. Again, on all of these topics, there's a lot more to talk about, folks. I wanted to introduce you to it. Others that I want to put on your radar, there's something called Hootsuite. We use it at Culture Shock. Many other businesses do. It's a single platform that allows us to simultaneously post to all different social media channels instead of having to log into each. Video.ai, if you're recording any videos yourselves, this AI tool allows you to throw it in there. You'll see this on our podcasts, where we'll record an hour-long podcast episode, and this will spit out shorts, 60-second, 90-second clips for all different formats without you having to do the heavy lifting there. We work with a team of video editors in Lithuania. It's $8.99 for unlimited video editing. Rather than doing all of this in-house, it's a way that we were able to tap into a trusted resource, one that we're able to form a good relationship with and hand off all of our video editing needs. And something that I'm familiar with, but that we're not using at Culture Shock, is if you want to scale up your sales and business development efforts, there's a lot of ways that you can do that out of house as well, where you're not worried about, what happens if they don't get the results and you have to then terminate those positions. It lets you do it on a quarterly basis with folks that will maintain your brand in a true way and give you total control over what their conversations are looking like when they are doing outreach on your behalf. So I felt like I wanted to at least share some of those nuggets with you, because the curious folks in the room, those who never want to stop learning, will surely run further with them. At this point, though, I'd love to open things up, do a quick recap, and see what meant most to you. What stood out here today that you found the most value in? To kind of tie it all together, let me just say, don't fear the new. Don't fear the unknown. Embrace it, charge into it, and do one thing different that you wouldn't have before this conversation, and it will be a win. Digital marketing, AI, the gig economy, these things are not going away. And if you're not embracing it and getting out in front of it, your competitors will leave you behind. So I would encourage each of you, even if you don't want to commit the bandwidth, the time and resources to going all in on any of these things, do one thing different. Make one commitment to somebody else in this room that you're going to go try using ChatGPT in a way that maybe you hadn't felt comfortable with before, that you're going to start using one of these different social media platforms, or putting some minimal spend into boosting posts or advertising on Facebook, LinkedIn, or any of them. Try it in a way that you're comfortable with. And when you see the results, I'm sure you're going to want to do more. There's plenty of experts in this room who have as much, if not more, firsthand experience in this than I do, especially relevant because they're also in the tree care industry. So if this jumpstarts the conversation that you continue this week at dinner, in breakout sessions after these workshops, then that's a win as well. I would encourage you, continue the dialogue. You saw earlier when we went through some of those conversations and shared who's already doing these things, who some of the folks were that are out in front of this race and this wave of new. So I'm sure if, based on the interactions I've had with this association so far, everyone here is willing to share to help one another. I included. Come find me. Let's continue the dialogue. Let's talk about some of these things to see where I can help you most. Again, this is not necessarily a service that Culture Shock offers, as this is something that I'm passionate about, that I wanted to help first and put out there. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. After this session, it's really just from a place of let's figure this stuff out together and let's do some things that will help us advance the tree care industry with the best bunch of folks in it. And they are in this room. So the reason it says accountability partners, I'd like everybody here, look at the person next to you, somebody who hopefully you don't know, exchange information really quick. And I encourage you 30 to 45 days from now, make a phone call, shoot an email, follow up with that person. We all need and benefit from the service of accountability, that follow up to say, what did you do with this? How did you apply that learning? Have you done anything else to grow your business? Have you gotten curious and stumbled upon any other tools that are worth sharing? If you commit to another person that you're going to make that follow up, sometimes it makes it more real. And if nothing else, you give that person the gift of accountability by following up with them to say, hey, I know life happens. Things get busy. There was a million things we went over at the expo, but this is your reminder to do something different. What have you done? Could you do more? How can we help each other and help push one another to be better on this front? With that said, folks, charge into the storm. I promise you'll get to better outcomes faster if you do the uncomfortable, painful thing and connect with us. We've got the Into the Storm Leaders podcast, where we interviewed some of the members of this association and other business leaders, sharing inspiring stories about times they've charged into the storm, and other industry experts talking leadership, talking business transformation and change in ways that I think will help you. And then here's some of our other channels. If you scan this QR code, it'll put all of it on your phone. It's been a pleasure, folks. Thank you very much. Went a little bit longer on some of the parts than I had expected. So we'll probably shorten up the beginning portion and jump right to some of the why. And then still go through some of the how in that manner, because I think that is what I hope everybody comes away with most is the tangible next steps, and it debunks some of the myth and some of the fear around using these tools. If they know how to boost a post, if they know how drastically different the investment is between that method versus some of the others that are out there, and they see the power of Fiverr and ChatGPT, it'll start to make some connections in their head that we don't even scratch the surface of during this workshop. And I think that's what I set to achieve with this one. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I look forward to giving this presentation in St. Louis at the expo.